Hey there, people, welcome back. It's Fresh Mark sent to another fresh review, aka Zest for Life. Today, I'll be checking out dry woody fragrances. Now, this is fragrances that have a slightly green, uh, tiny bit fruity, but mainly a dry woody appeal. This gives sophistication to the fragrance, making it suitable for the workplace with its dry airiness and not too suffocating or overpowering. It has a mature and mature edge to it because dry perfumes are sort of like Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver and the like, and they make you feel a little bit more done up, a little bit more formal, let's say. And finally, the dry woody perfumes that I'll be going into, they mix the feeling of natural greenery with woods. So these are green, dry, woody scents that are slightly zesty to keep it fresh. Let's go straight into it because the contrast of these perfumes are quite interesting in the way that they highlight the other notes that are present. Notably, Bois de Yuzu by Karl Lagerfeld. Now, this is a very cheap perfume. This is about £20 for 50 ml, but it smells very classy for its price. Nonetheless, actually, out of my whole fragrance collection, I do check out this time to time in autumn, spring, and sometimes in winter, but I think it doesn't actually project too much. It's quite a soft scent, opening up with a very refreshing grapefruit and yuzu opening. There is ginger, rosemary, and mint in here also in the top notes, along with that bright and sour fresh yuzu. But I'd say that the sour, zesty freshness comes mainly from the grapefruit. The aromatic note of ginger is not really present until the mid when the fragrance dries down and gets slightly more sour with the vetiver, and it has the special woody note that is similar to Versace Dylan Blue is papyrus and oak moss. So the papyrus gives it a slightly smoky green feel, whilst being bitter and dry. So this, all in all, this is a very classy perfume because it keeps it quite formal and airy and bright at the same time. The woody notes are not too spicy, although it does have a middle note of nutmeg, which changes the fresh spiciness of mint and rosemary with a tiny bit of sour yuzu, as I mentioned in the top note, and turns it from a fresh green spicy note to a more warming autumnal nutmeg feel. So it can be used as the seasons get a little bit colder, but I would feel that this is best for summer and autumn, and the transferable months where you don't really know whether you're going to wear a scarf or wear all of your layers at the same time or just go out with a t-shirt because the weather is very changeable. This is great for British weather, let's say. Boys Do Yuzu by Karl Lagerfeld. You can get it for about £15. Projection is about it's quite close to the skin, about 1 meter, let's say. But that would be the maximum in the first 2 hours, and the next 4 hours it sits quite close to the skin. Great for formal wear, great for summer, and if you want to bring a little bit of class and sophistication with that sort of dry woods feel. It does remind me of Bulgari Neroli wood and wood essence in its slightly creamy bergamot and dry woody finish. Yet for the price, I think it's a steal. It's definitely worth trying out if you see it in the shop. You may find this in a local Boots, actually. That's the last time I've seen it in the shop. I myself bought it online. Whatever. So, next one is something that I really enjoy when I want to uh, up the formality but let people know that I'm celebrating. This is something rich, opulent. It's got fruity notes too. If you look on Fragrantica, not all the notes are listed, but I bought this straight from the shop and I am loving it. Abdul Samad Al Qurashi Blend. Al Qurashi blend. That is the wrong way round, and I'll flip that later if I got the time. So this starts with fruity notes of apple. There is lily of the valley in here as well. There's very nice dry oud. This has a real oud note. One more time. With a honeyed oud, with a dry patchouli and bitter oud note. So patchouli gives a slight sweetness and a slight breath of fresh air. It's a dry woody perfume. It's a dry woody note with almost cedar is more bark like, and patchouli is almost like a moist sweetened wood, and that is mixed with the honey note in here. There is a fruity note in here. There's a mixed fruits note actually, but I would identify the fruity note as apple. Seems to be a little bit of cinnamon in here. There is a mixed spice note as well, which is I feel that it's not exactly anisic, but it is sweet, fruity, and cinnamon spicy with some lily of the valley to keep it dew-like freshness, to give a dew-like freshness to, so it's not too dry in the base. Um, Dew-like freshness is in the morning. There is water droplets on plants and the like, and if you were to smell that, it has a very fresh, clouded water smell, which is reminiscent of a very beautiful morning sun, like a sunny morning. So that mixed with the fruity notes, the dried patchouli and honeyed woody oud note, it makes for a very opulent and rich scent. It has amber in here. It also has Nagamotha cypriol oil, which is a green, dense, uh, jungle-like wood, I'd say. I describe Laotian oud as a jungle oud because it has bitter green facets, whereas Nagamotha has dry, woody, and green facets, almost like a thick vine from a tree. It has a very mossy, very fresh, green, natural, and almost sweet scent, like the vine has some life to it. So it's not just a dry woody scent, it mixes the patchouli and the Nagamotha cypriol oil or Nagamotha wood to produce something very fresh, opulent, sweet, rich, and syrupy. It also has saffron in here too. So you have to check out the notes for yourself in the local store. On Fragrantica, it says it has zesty lemon and lily of the valley, but it's not a complete list of all the notes because this is a very complex perfume. Definitely check it out in the store if you have the chance. And the next one I'm going to mention is something you can find a tester of if you look around on eBay. You can get it for about £35, much more expensive in stores. But Pasha de Cartier Noir is actually quite a great daytime fragrance despite the name Noir, meaning night. So it starts off citrusy. It has a violet note in the mid. The aquatic note, the watery aquatic note, keeps it bright and fresh. Yet it has some mint and a slight bit of nutmeg and black pepper. And the clove in the mid retains the spiciness of black pepper. So black pepper has a punch, and clove keeps it warm and spicy when the amber and the watery notes dry down with the violet to keep it smooth, sweet with the amber, a little bit warm and spicy with that clove, and in the end you have a slight note of heliotrope, which is a blue flower. It's found in Eastern Europe and the like. It has a slight sweet powdery almost blue violet smell. If you have ever tasted the sweet of blue violet, it tastes a little bit like washing powder in its violet powdery sweet, almost lavender-esque smell. Slightly makeupy, but I think that 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 blue powder smell at the end of the warm spice and uplifting, refreshing and revitalizing watery notes with the citruses makes this a very nice, close projecting office scent. You can wear it casually in the daytime to have that sophisticated, sort of done up formal feel, almost like a smart casual vibe, upgrading your casual attire. And I really feel that let me just spray this just to get a good refreshing feel of what this is all about. You got the amber and the watery notes coming first. The sweetness of amber and the watery notes, I smell that first, with the creaminess of violet. And then only later in the mid, the black pepper comes out. And in the dry down, you get the cedar wood. So throughout this perfume, it gets drier as you go through the stages. It opens up aquatic and fresh, and it gets drier as it progresses through with the cedar wood to give a clean, bark-like, fresh, almost minty smell with the cedar wood, because it does have some mint in the mid, but in the top note, but the cedar carries on that fresh, dry, woody scent, and the violet and aquatic notes provide something a little bit creamy and a great contrast between the brightness of the top and the dry woodiness of the base. So that violet really holds things together and makes this formal, fresh, and creamy. So definitely check out Pasha, Pasha de Cartier Noir edition. The next one I'm going to recommend is something very cheap, but I found this when I was 17 years old in the discount section, and I never looked back. This is a fantastic, for the price as well, sandalwood. Sandalwood in Ted Baker XO Extraordinary. This is £10, but the sandalwood in here is creamy and very creamy, soft, and the woody note is not overbearing, but it is bolstered and made more dry by the pimento and red berries. It opens up with a cypress wood note. So cypress, bergamot, and pimento. In the mid, you have some and red berries and let me get this on. Oh yeah, red berries and black pepper. That's where the punch comes from. I instantly smell it. And then you get the amber and sandalwood in the base with a bit of pink pepper. And the pink pepper in the base, usually pink pepper gives a citric, almost pineapple feel. But with the pimento and the sandalwood, it revitalizes the sharpness of the fragrance. Although this doesn't actually last that long, all in all, in general, it lasts about 4 hours for projection, or about 2 hours projection and 4 hours on the skin. So you'll get 6 hours maximum from this fragrance. But for a fragrance for £10, and for somebody who has lots of different fragrances, I don't think you need too much longevity. The enjoyment of this fragrance is the spicy, woody warmth of this fragrance. It opens up with a slight bit of mandarin orange, making the green cypress dry, woody note more revitalizing and fresh. The creaminess of bergamot in the top note also gives it, carries on the green sweetness of it. Then and the red berries and pimento provide a contrasting heat, which is continued further on with the sandalwood and the contrasting amber and pink pepper to give a harsh, slightly sharp, dry, woody cedar feel. So this is fantastic as a cheapy fragrance. This is great as a warm fragrance that would really do you up, as it would smarten up your look in that it would provide you some warmth from the woods whilst being refreshingly different with that pink pepper and the base and bergamot on top, and a little bit of pimento to keep it spicy, fresh, and very I think it's a great go-to fragrance. I was using it a lot, and this is my second bottle. So we're on 110 ml, and proof is in the pudding. I love it because I've been using it. The next one I want to talk about is, because we got two more, is Trussardi Uomo Eau de Toilette. I bought this in 200 ml because I got 200 ml for £40. Very good deal, in my opinion, because this is a creamy, soft, slightly minty with geranium in the middle, woody perfume. It has a great patchouli note, which is very realistic and green, dry, and slightly sweet. It is bolstered by sage and geranium to keep it aromatic and fresh. There is a note of galbandium, which is a green, let's say, sweet green, refreshing and slightly bitter herbal note. Galbandium is in Versace blue jeans, and it provides the contrast between green herbal freshness and sea notes. But with this, they contrast the green with the minty, sweet, and woody nature of geranium, making it minty, and the patchouli. There is some oak moss in the base here to keep it green, fresh, minty, and sweet. But then the violet in the mid, the violet and iris, gives it a creamy finish. So this is a very smooth, airy perfume. That bergamot and lemony zesty opening is keeps it fresh and bright in the opening. Then you have the smoothness of violet and iris in the mid, and then it dries down to something very refreshing, green, and slightly dry. So I think this is fantastic with a grey suit. If you want to keep it clean, uncomplicated, refreshing, and masculine at the same time, you can never go wrong with this as a 100% masculine fragrance without being overly macho and overbearing. It doesn't have any animalic notes with the leather in the base. It's very smooth, and the bitterness comes from the aromatic galbandium. So it's very natural, clear, airy, slightly minty, and that woody, dry base finish is just fantastic, really. I think this is a great go-to work scent. A lot of these dry, woody scents I've mentioned before are go-to work scents, but I think that this is fantastic with the iris and violet, keeping it creamy and minty and dry and woody. Fantastic. I know I repeated myself with the creamy, dry, woody, and minty, but I really wanted to get across as something different from Pasha de Cartier, because you may find similarities in the notes of violet, clove, pepper, and the like, but and citruses, but it is a completely different perfume. This is more warm, spicy, and refreshing in the top note. This is more spicy, let's say, and this is more of a clear, fresh, minty, woody perfume with more of an airy patchouli. So that's a slight difference, but they are quite similar in their own way, and you could mistake them for one another if you were to smell them from very far away, maybe. But I would say that this is definitely the spicier of the two Pasha de Cartier Noir. And the final perfume, before I go, I'm going to mention this one more time, Jimmy Choo Man Blue. I've reviewed this previously in other videos, but I want to mention it again because it is one of my favorite natural, woody, green, masculine perfumes. The sandalwood in here is smooth, very smoothly done. Let me just go through the notes because I'm going to read it from the back. Clary sage, black pepper. In the heart notes, we have leather, cypress, base notes of sandalwood and vanilla. So, clary sage and black pepper, opening up with a little bit of a punch, which is softened by the airy aromatic nature of clary sage. For people who don't know what clary sage is, it is a shrub. It is a airy, almost green shrub. You can use it in cooking. It's similar to rosemary, but it has more of a sinus opening, almost wick smell. Has a slightly I would say herbal, but it has medicinal uses as well in actually relieving congestion uh, in the nose and the airways. So it has a sinus opening sage note. The cypress keeps it dry and woody, so it opens with that green, dry, fresh feel, like you just stepped into a forest, let's say, the first breath of fresh air, which is woody and very natural, green and airy. Then the leather, and I mentioned cypress. The leather is soft. I think the leather keeps it, starts off that almost waxy Dior Homme intense vibe, which is a smooth, powdery note. So the leather is more of a smooth, powdery note, which is slightly musky. It's more of a musky leather than something that is animalic or skanky. It's not too sour or tangy in any way, let's say. And the sandalwood and vanilla, finally. The sandalwood is a very creamy sandalwood, mixing with the leather, which is a light animalic musk. Um, it has a very soft appeal, very soft and airy appeal, and that vanilla adds a touch of warmth that gives you a inner city vibe, because it's almost like you went into the forest and then you just came home to the warmth of uh, almost like a magnolia house, because it's the vanilla house, let's say, where all the walls are white, and you have a bit of a modern urban experience of the home, from going out in the fresh air in the woods and going straight into a very clean home. It's almost like a new home smell, like nothing's been done in it, and there's almost a little bit of like a cement almost, because the mixing of the sweetness of vanilla and the dry woodiness of sawdust. It's almost like sawdust when you mix the freshness of cypress, which is slightly sour, with the aromatic nature of sage, and the sandalwood, which is slightly creamy but in a powdery way. So you almost get that new home feel with the vanilla, because it creates a softer, slightly sweeter aesthetic to it, as if you came from the forest and walked into a new build house, which has got a little bit of cement and dust in it. Not in a bad way, but if you were to wear this formally in the workplace, it's very smooth, slightly natural, revitalizing, yet at the same time, it has a masculine leather note, which is not overbearing. So definitely check out Jimmy Choo Man Blue if you want something that is refreshing, uplifting, very natural in its dry, woody note, yet it has a creamy sandalwood finish if you don't want to bore anyone with something that is too formal, maybe, and may make you feel a little bit stuffy. So it has that smooth sandalwood in the base with vanilla to give warmth, and a green, natural, airy finish on top. I just let that one roll completely, because I want to let you know how I do this, how I go through the thought process, because fragrance is really a journey. It starts from the top note, it changes throughout the mid, and over time you get to the base. And each fragrance has its own experience. I hope you enjoy the fragrance as much as I do. Let me know in the comment section if these fragrances come off a little bit differently on your skin, because I enjoy them as fresh, airy, woody scents that have great value for money and are fantastic in the workplace. So check out all these fragrances, stay free and stay fresh.